Those of you following me on here know I'm on the lookout for a couple of things. Businesses that are backing local news with subscriptions for their staff, and entrepreneurs that are using their business nous to solve for the most sound-bitten problems in the UK. And I'm here at Timber Engineering today in Dundee with Eddie Whiten and Mike Pratt to learn about their business and talk about why they've backed the courier with subscriptions for their staff. So let's take a look around, guys. The idea for Timber Engineering started in the pandemic and has led now to this factory here in Dundee. What am I looking at here? Talk me through it. This makes house building go faster in the UK, doesn't it? But what is it?
So this is our product called UltraKit. Now basically what it is, in a nutshell, is a much bigger version of a standard timber kit panel. And the reason it helps us build houses quicker is that we can erect a pair of houses in a single day on site using cranes and being a little bit smarter about how we erect and construct housing.
And this is made right here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's take a look around the back. So this is what faces the elements. So on this side, you would get your brickwork and everything else built around?
Correct, yes.
And who's the target customer for something like this? Who are you looking to sell this into?
Typically, we're looking at SME house builders. A lot of the big volumetrics have already got their own supply chains, which are pretty well established. I'm not saying that they're doing anything like what we are, but I think SME house builders particularly are well placed to look at innovative solutions for how do they tackle the housing crisis. And I guess we're delivering more for the same money.
And what about round this side? Let's take a look. Follow me, Angus. We can go back round with Mike. So this looks very simple, but what goes on when this reaches its destination? What then happens to turn this into a home?
What we've got here is a big panel, which is the external elevations to the house. And once it's been put up and stood, you've got the roof goes on top of it, and then once it's wind and watertight, obviously windows fitted, doors fitted, we can then start dry fitting all the insulation that goes into these spaces, which we call a cavity. Cavity insulation goes in, we have a breather membrane that goes over to keep the moisture out, and then obviously we can start doing the dry lining inside the house, and that's well on the way towards creating someone's new home.
And Eddie, this idea came to you and Mike during the pandemic, didn't it?
Yeah.
How did it come about? Like, where did you get this? Where did all this come together in your mind?
Well, ultimately it's about efficiency. Costs were spiraling out of control. The price of timbers and various other products were going through the roof. We had issues with labour, etc. So I guess the thing that the pandemic gave us was the opportunity to sit around the table and look at the way we built houses and how we can make that whole process more efficient. And what we've come up with here is not rocket science. It's just about taking all the individual processes that typically happen on a new build house and just building them as efficiently as possible at each and every stage.
And Mike, Eddie, you guys decided to take out subscriptions to the courier for your staff. Why did you take that decision, and why is it so important that local news thrives here in this community?
Well, I think one of the things that is good about having a local paper is about that investigative journalism about things that happen and keeping, your politicians and local authorities to account. I think that's very important. And it's also important for helping businesses aware of each other and allowing them to achieve synergies. So, a lot of the local content in the courier is fantastic for that, because you get to see what is the nuts and bolts of local SMEs particularly, and seeing how they can benefit each other in a more of a communal hub. So the newspaper's the glue that gets all that together.
Well, I think that also speaks the same language as we do as a locally based SME business, is that they understand the local area, they understand the local people, and they're doing everything to benefit the local area. Having that locally based news reporting is extremely important, whereas the nationals, everything gets swallowed up in the noise.
I think that's the other thing as well, is that we live in the age of social media where everyone's a keyboard warrior, and quite often you need the local investigative journalist to be able to call out misinformation and get to the heart of what the real truth is. You don't always get that from national papers, and you certainly don't get it from the internet. So having the courier there to be able to sense check a lot of what we hear and see is quite important to us as well.
Well, if you're watching this video and wondering how you can back the courier for local news and growth in the community, frankly, where have you been for the last 12 months? drop me a line in the comments below on LinkedIn and I'll connect you with Linda Ruxton and the team, and we'll get you set up so your staff can play that role and complete that circularity in reading local news here in the community as it continues to grow and thrive. Eddie and Mike, thanks for your time today. Lots of exciting stuff to come from this factory and who knows beyond over the next 12 months and into the future. Let's go.